Manila Chan. You're watching In Question, broadcasting live from RT America National Headquarters in Washington, D.C. Here are the stories we're working on for you today. Amid a slew of recession fears, how are world leaders coming together to address the global economy? We are live outside of the IMF. And how about a little cheese with that wine? Well, only if you have the extra cash to spare. Today, the U.S. imposes record tariffs on a lot of EU goods. We're going to tell you how that's going to affect your pocketbook. And over to our panel guests. They're here to discuss racism as a public health crisis in one state and the fallout from that fatal shooting in Fort Worth, Texas.
Let's stop it right there. Allah, Yahweh, Shem, Abishai, Bahashem, Rakak, Badash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered, to the hopefully the elect that are scattered among the heathen around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, meaning those Israelites that come looking like the heathen, because they do. You have some people that have a problem with that, but that's just a fact. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. All right, and things that it says, is racism a health risk? It always has been. All right, that racial hate and that divide, which is dividing America, which is dividing the world. Especially as more truth comes out about Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and all his lies, his murders, his false history, you know, his unrighteous decrees, his unrighteous balances, him swaying things to be in his favor, him lying about every damn thing, and the fact that he's losing it and he's afraid. And now it's not just the men, the sons of Israel he's attacking. Now he's outright killing and attacking the women and the children as well. It's open season on you Israelites, man, and it's only going to get worse. All right, and the reason, and you know, through the spirit, I wasn't even looking for this video. The topic that I'm speaking on was a topic that I was going to speak on, but this started playing on its own. I didn't even push it. And I watched a few seconds of it, and I realized that, hey, this was all through the Spirit. The Lord set this up. All right? Because I was going to call this video The Great Divide and Folly. Because that's the state of that America is in. Folly is set in great dignity. Meanwhile, these very important topics are happening that are affecting your day-to-day lives, as Manila Chan is talking about. But that's not what's on the mind of people. In Chicago, all they could talk about today was the Saints versus the Bears versus the Saints. That was, you know, you people are so easily distracted with bread and circus. All right? Dumbed down by the boob tube. But I was listening to a conversation. I couldn't help but hear it. It was happening right behind me, of two Edomite women complaining about, you know, feeling uncomfortable in a workplace after they've slept with someone or dated someone. All right. One of them I know for sure was married, you know, and only Yahweh knows how many times she was married before she actually got married. And if that went over your head, then, you know, you need some reading, some studying to do. You need to go back and watch more videos. All right? Because sex is marriage, not a ring. All right? So I'm pretty sure she's not have a ring on her finger from the first man that went on into her, or the procession of the carousel that she rode of men after that. But that's another story. But nevertheless, with all these problems that we're talking about and all these things that are going on, their biggest concern was their costumes for Halloween. You heard the opening statements that Manila Chan gave. But these women, in the midst of a dying economy, in the midst of a country that's failing, in the midst of a country that's on the verge of a race war, that's on the verge of civil unrest, food riots, and Yahweh only knows what else. Their concern was the slutty Halloween costumes, which they described. And that's all the Halloween really is justifiable day, just yet another day that they can justify being enacted and dressing and behaving like complete sluts and morons. You know? And the men are just as bad. It just isn't about the women. The men are just as bad. It's just folly. Matter of fact, let's get that. This is Ecclesiastes 10:6. And it reads, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. Who are the rich? The people who are rich with this knowledge, with the understanding of the scriptures. Collectively, they sit in a low place. All right? They're not well-to-do for the most part. Okay? They're living paycheck to paycheck or worse. All right? You know, you got all these these Halloween parades, costume prep, and it's all vanity, man. Okay? Turn on the radio, listening to NPR, and clicked it on. First thing I heard was about the divide in the UK. All right? In the United Kingdom, man. 52% of the United Kingdom people voted to leave the EU. These so-called white men are losing their power and their grip on everything that they have, including their women. Because one thing I've seen all weekend long was Edomite women with men of color, not just Jacob, mostly Jacob, but with men of color. All right, with Elam, with Ham, with Judah, with Ephraim. All weekend long, and really, most of them were really decent too. Nice Edomite concubines, if you will. All right, because they are going to be used as such in the kingdom to come. The scriptures clearly says what was done unto us has to be done unto them double. If you got a problem with that, you got a problem with the Most High, not me. All right, but it says 52% voted to leave the EU. If they ain't a house divided, I don't know what is. Let's get a scripture. This is and then that division extends across the pond to their child, which is America as well. You better believe it. But this is Luke 11:17. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. All right, so it's going to fall. There's nothing can stop the upcoming fall of Esau Edom. All right, the Russians were just bragging about the hypersonic missiles and how there's nothing on earth that can stop it. And it is true. Nothing on earth can stop it. But there's things that are not of this world that can stop it. But those hypersonic missiles are going to be used to destroy Edom here in America. And if you're not among the elect and get lifted up unto the chariots of Israel on that great day when the fervent heat burns, all right, when they looking down upon the sea, that lake of fire, which is basically all 50 states of the U.S. snakes of America on fire. If you're not looking down from heaven, sitting on those chariots, you're going to be in that fire. That's that hell that they talk about. All right? And it's coming because the Russians got Satan 1, Satan 2, and now they got this new hypersonic weaponry, which they don't even care now that America has missile batteries surrounding Russia. Doesn't even affect them now with this new technology they have. Putin was very, and just like the brother brought out that scripture in a video that I was watching, I think it's in Ezekiel, but it says that the spoiler, Egypt shall be spoiled, roughly paraphrased. And it's going to be paraphrased, it's going to be, Salaki, it's going to be spoiled ultimately by the Most High, but he's going to use the other nations of the world and other Edomites to do it. All right. This is Mark 3:25, and it reads, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. The Edomite is against the Edomite. North against the South. Republicans against Democrats. The right wing versus the liberals. You know? Baptists versus Jehovah's Witnesses. Christians versus the 5%ers. The East versus the West. America versus the EU and NATO. And EU and NATO is going to pull apart, and they're going to turn on this wicked place, man. All right. Another story that I was listening to was a story on NPR about pennies for puppies. Someone came up with this bright idea to take all your pennies and put them in jars and collect them up for puppies around the world. You know, and it mentioned Nicole Kidman and something like that. She put in on it and had something to do with the advertisement of it or whatever. But the funny thing is that it failed, because once they collected up all these pennies, it turned out that to collect up the pennies, to wrap them into to the paper and send them out, cost twice as much as the pennies they collected. That's Salakia. The money is it costs more. See, that's how you know the Esau Edom is stupid, man. Well, you create a currency where it costs you more of the currency to use the currency. But you know what that's going to do? Because they have to have another fundraiser. Now that they collected all these pennies, they have another fundraiser to process the pennies, because of the money it took to move them and to put them in paper. So, you know, I'm sorry, that's quite comical, man. It goes to show you that these high IQs that this falseness, this shield and this protective shield that they've put around themselves is deteriorated. And you coming up, they're not wise, and they're not smart, and they're not intelligent. That's why they set up a system where they can just cheat and lie their way through. And now it's proven itself to be worthless. All right? You know, let's grab another quick scripture. This is James 5:3, and it reads, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped up treasures together for the last days. All right? So, and their money is worthless. But you know what else that's going to do? That's proven to you, all right, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they're going to usher in the chip behind this. All right? When it costs more money to process and move your money, what are they going to do? They're going to go digital. And how are they going to control the digital? By the RFID chip. Just like they have it in the Amazon store. When I had the Indian family in the car the other day, and she started talking to her older family members, telling them that this is the Amazon store. You don't need money. Everything is controlled by the RFID chip. And you already have millions of people around the world who have it. It's going to turn to trillions, because pretty soon the currencies are going to just completely collapse. And the way to get control over the chaos that's about to come is what? To take the chip, which is going to be made mandatory. Which in that scripture, that prophecy was told in Revelation. And that's one, and the reason we talk about it all the time and keep bringing it up, because that marks the end. The end comes when the chip becomes mandatory. The chip is already here. You people aren't hearing me. You don't understand the magnitude of this. It's already here. It's been being used since the 70s in different tracking devices. And now it's used every day in your purchases. And now people already have it implanted in them to make purchases, to open doors, to start cars, to start computers and machines and etc. And it can all be controlled and ran, and that way they can actually keep up with you. and know everything and be godlike. This is Revelation 13, starting at verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So it's going to come a point when you refuse this chip, you're going to get put to death. A lot of the men of the Lord, the Israelites, are going to be martyrs. That's why the scripture says that John saw the souls of them who died, who were beheaded for Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right? But they're going to be the first ones to get lifted up and get that vengeance. Ezekiel 25, verses 12 through 14. All right? Verse 16 in Revelation 13, 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads. So it doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're walking around free, if you're locked up, you're going to have to get that chip. Military, police, firemen, government jobs, you're all going to be put in a position where you either take this chip or you lose your job. It's coming. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So when you look at this, when it gets to these apocalyptic type food droughts and chaos and all those things of that nature, the only way you're going to be able to eat or buy food or do anything is if you have that mark, which is going to be a test. That's part of the Lord's Prayer. That's the hour of temptation. Lead us not into temptation. So we're going to depend on there is no plan B. We're looking for the Lord to feed us, provide for us when that time comes, and then to lift us up out of here right before the missiles hit and destroy Babylon. That's it. There is no plan B. All right? Which I might just make that the name of this video. It says, verse 17 again, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and that man is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The people who refer to them, self-proclaim themselves as white and or call themselves Caucasian. Caucasian means cave dweller. They came from the caves, from Petra first. Petra, modern day Petra is ancient Mount Seir, which was Edom, Esau. Like the Bible tells you, Mount Seir is Edom. All right, and throughout the centuries, they've changed their names. They changed it. And still to this day, like the scripture says in Psalms 49 and 11, for they named the lands after after themselves, roughly paraphrased. Everywhere they go, they name the lands after themselves. And they want to be everything and everyone except the nation of Edom, which they are. Which means red, because they are the only red people. Native Americans are brown. And they were really dark brown, just like Negroes, going back 200-300 years ago. Before all the forced rapes and intermingling and all that other mess. So with that, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Wa Abba Babar.